We've reached a breakthrough. After weeks of deep analysis, thousands of hours of computational processing, and a global collaboration across numerous research institutions, we have successfully decoded the 3i Atlas radio transmission. And what this message reveals changes everything we thought we knew about the object itself, about potential first contact, and about humanity's position in the cosmos. I'm Michio Kaku, and I'm going to guide you step by step through what the signal contains, how we deciphered it, and why its meaning affects every person on this planet. Let me start with a conclusion, because the weight of this discovery demands it up front. 3i Atlas is not merely observing us. It is not simply passing through. The decoded message confirms that it is an active probe sent with a specific purpose. And Earth is that purpose. We are the target. We are the subject. And the message explains exactly why we were chosen and what is meant to happen next. The decoding breakthrough came from an unexpected direction. A research team at the Max Planck Institute for Radio Astronomy in Germany, working alongside mathematicians at MIT, shifted the approach. They didn't treat the signal as language in the traditional sense, something to translate. They treated it as a mathematical structure to be recognized. That transition was the key. They weren't searching for words. They were searching for patterns that surpass language, culture, or biology. The signal is composed of 37 pulses. 37 is not random. Yes, it's a prime number, but more importantly, it is the 12th prime number. That is the first embedded clue. They're using prime numbers as a universal counting system, a mathematical language understood by any advanced intelligence. The 12th prime number tells us that the message is referring to the 12-something, but the 12th what exactly? Next detail, the duration of each pulse, 2.1 seconds. At first, it seemed arbitrary, but it's not being measured in our seconds. It's being measured in periods of the hydrogen spectral line, the hydrogen emission frequency, at 1,420 megahertz. One hydrogen period is about 0.7 nanoseconds. 2.1 seconds equals exactly 3 billion hydrogen periods. Another precise number, another intentional signal. The space in between pulses, 15.7 seconds, equals 22.4 billion hydrogen periods. Again, this is not random. The ratio between pulse length and spacing is consistently 7.5 to 1. That ratio appears repeatedly throughout the signal. Why 7.5? What does it reference? The answer came from Dr. Elena Vasquez at MIT. She recognized that 7.5 billion years is approximately the age of Earth when complex multicellular life first emerged. That cannot be coincidence. This means they are not just sending numbers. They are referencing Earth's evolutionary history. They understand when life began here and when it changed dramatically. They are telling us they have studied us in depth. Inside each pulse is a chirp pattern, a frequency shift from below to above 1,420 megahertz. When analyzed correctly, it encodes a set of values corresponding to fundamental physical constants, but specifically ones linked to chemistry and biology. The fine structure constant, interaction of atoms and light, the electron-to-proton mass ratio, basis of chemical stability, the ratio of electromagnetic to gravitational forces, planetary and stellar formation. They are not randomly displaying intelligence. They are showing that they deeply understand the physical conditions required for life. Then came the most striking layer. Dr. Michelson at Caltech decoded the subtle amplitude variations, the tiny fluctuations in signal strength. When plotted using wavelet transforms, they formed an image, not noise, not abstraction. A map, a three-dimensional map of our local galactic region, showing stars within 5,000 light-years of Earth. And on this map, 12 locations are marked. 12 star systems, each highlighted with the same prime number marker as before. One of those 12 is our Sun. The others are G-type stars, similar to ours, aged between 4 and 7 billion years, with confirmed or probable Earth-like planets in habitable zones. Some of these planets we have already identified through missions like Kepler. Others are still barely studied. 3i Atlas is telling us, we are not unique. We are one of 12. We are part of a catalog. a catalog of life-bearing or potentially life-bearing worlds in our region of the galaxy. 3i Atlas is not visiting us alone. It is visiting all 12 systems, one by one on a long-term survey mission. The final layer came from phase modulation timing analysis by Dr. Sarah Mitchell at Oxford. She discovered that the phase shifts encode dates, expressed in hydrogen frequency time units, corresponding to major milestones in Earth's biological history. 3.8 billion years ago, rise of first life. 2.4 billion years ago, oxygenation event. 540 million years ago, Cambrian explosion. 66 million years ago, extinction of dinosaurs. 300,000 years ago, emergence of Homo sapiens. 10,000 years ago, agricultural revolution. And then the final date, 1945, the Trinity nuclear test. The moment humanity became technologically capable of self-annihilation and potentially capable of threatening others beyond Earth. That moment, the detonation in 1945, is the point at which we became a species worth closer, more deliberate monitoring, because that is when we demonstrated the ability to either advance or destroy ourselves. Now we reach the final component of the decoded transmission, and it is the most direct and arguably the most difficult to interpret. The last segment of the signal contains what can only be described as coordinates and timing data, a precise point in three-dimensional space relative to the Sun, and a specific date and time, roughly 18 months from now. The location is not on Earth. It is a point in space about $1.30 from the Sun, just slightly beyond Earth's orbit, and the timestamp is accurate to within minutes. The most reasonable interpretation is both compelling and unsettling. It is a rendezvous point, a scheduled location, a meeting time. 3i Atlas is telling us where and when something will occur. But what exactly? Is it inviting us to meet? Is it warning that something else will arrive at that position? Is it telling us where to aim our telescopes? Or is it marking the scheduled moment of contact? We cannot say definitively, not yet. But 18 months from now, at that exact point in space, something is meant to happen. Dr. James Robertson at JPL analyzed the orbital geometry. The location they provided is a point that Earth will pass near, within $0.40 at the specified date, close enough for high-resolution imaging, targeted radio communication, real-time observation, but not Earth itself. If something does appear at that location, we will be able to detect it easily using our current observational capabilities. The positioning is ideal for interaction, but not direct contact. So now the central question that every research and defense agency is wrestling with: what arrives at that location? Another probe? Multiple probes? A larger vessel? Nothing, because we misunderstood the message, or something entirely beyond our present scientific framework. NASA's official public response has been carefully measured. They confirm that the signal contains structured mathematical information, astronomical reference data, encoded timelines, and spatial coordinates. They acknowledge that the message demonstrates deep awareness of Earth's history and biological development, but they are avoiding definitive claims about the message's intent or how humanity should respond. Behind closed doors, however, the discussions are intense. I have attended several high-level briefings in recent weeks. The interpretations range across a vast spectrum. On one end, those who argue we should respond send a message to the coordinates, signaling openness to contact. On the other end, those who argue we must remain a silent observer, watching carefully, while revealing nothing more about ourselves. Military and intelligence agencies are deeply involved, as expected, and their presence complicates everything. Their concerns are strategic. If something arrives with technologies beyond ours, what does that mean for planetary security? How do we prevent competition between nations for possible access to such technology? How do we avoid conflict on Earth caused by whoever gains access first? Because this message does not belong to one country. It belongs to all of humanity. But we do not have effective global systems for coordinated response to extraterrestrial contact. The United Nations has theoretical frameworks on paper, but implementation is another matter entirely. National interests clash. Power politics intrude. Trust is limited. The world's major space powers, the US, China, Russia, the EU, India, Japan, all have the capability to observe the rendezvous site, access to the decoded data, and a vested interest in influencing the response. Some advocate for a unified, collective human response. Others want to preserve independent action, including possible unilateral contact. Now, let's break down the meaning behind the decoded message. The designation number 12. Our placement as a 12th civilization in their survey is profound. It implies we are not the first, and we are not alone. There are 11 other star systems in this survey cycle. Some may contain active civilizations. Others may still be in earlier biological stages. Our inclusion suggests we meet their criteria. A G-type star, an Earth-like planet in the habitable zone, verified complex life, and recent emergence of a technological species. If those are the filters, then the other 11 likely meet the same conditions, meaning there are at least a dozen worlds with comparable evolutionary trajectories within 5,000 light-years of us. Maybe more. The timeline encoded in the message shows that they have observed life on Earth during multiple epochs, recorded progression from simple to complex, and recognized the emergence of technological intelligence. This means they understand evolution, not just here, but across multiple worlds. We are not an anomaly to them. We are an expected pattern. And the physical constants encoded in the signal demonstrate something critical. We share the same physics. They operate under the same universal laws that govern atoms, forces, chemistry, and biology. This is not just communication. This is recognition. The laws of nature are universal. They apply everywhere in the cosmos. Any advanced civilization will eventually identify the same fundamental constants we have. Secondly, by specifying these constants so precisely, they're establishing a shared measurement standard, a common reference frame for communication. We can use these values to interpret the rest of their message and potentially construct our own replies in a compatible structure. Third, it demonstrates their scientific sophistication. Measuring these constants to the precision shown in the signal requires highly advanced instrumentation and a deep understanding of quantum mechanics and particle physics. They are showing their credentials, proof that this is intelligent communication, not a natural cosmic anomaly. The galactic map, our local neighborhood. The map indicating 12 star systems within roughly 5,000 light-years is scientifically invaluable. It tells us where to look for other life-bearing worlds. Some of these stars we've already confirmed to have planets. Others have not been fully studied yet. Now we know where to focus. But this raises profound questions. Are the other 11 systems inhabited? If so, have they been contacted? Do they know about each other? Is there a network or community of civilizations we are about to be introduced to? Or are we one of the first to reach technological maturity? Maybe all 12 worlds have life, but only a few, or perhaps just us, have reached the stage of nuclear technology and radio communication. If that's the case, we may be early members of a much larger cosmic community. The meeting coordinates, scheduled contact. This is the most immediate and uncertain part of the message. A specific location in space. A specific time, 18 months from now. What does it mean? Optimistic interpretation. It's an invitation. Something, another probe, or perhaps a larger craft, will be at that exact point at that time. If we choose contact, that's where it will happen. Cautious interpretation. It's a warning. Something is going to arrive there, and we are being told, so we won't be unprepared. Concerning interpretation. It's a test. They want to see, do we cooperate globally? Do we panic? Do we prepare for diplomacy or war? Our reaction is part of what they're measuring. The timeline, 18 months, is not accidental. It's long enough to prepare, but short enough that we cannot transform ourselves or our capabilities. We must respond as we truly are, not as we would like to be. What the message doesn't say. The absence of information is intentional. There is no statement of who they are, no explanation of their motives, no requests, no demands, no introduction of culture, identity, or ideology. Just, we have watched, you have reached the next threshold. The next step is approaching. This silence gives us room to choose our position and gives them a way to evaluate how we handle the unknown. The decoding, how we interpreted the signal. The decoding effort was a massive international collaboration involving radio astronomy, mathematics, information theory, cryptography, linguistics, evolutionary biology, physics, and history. No single institution could have solved it alone. Dr. Vasquez's team at MIT used number theory and pattern recognition algorithms, testing countless encoding hypotheses. Only when mathematical structure made sense did semantic interpretation begin. Dr. Chen's group at Caltech decoded physical constants through spectral and wavelet analysis. The star map emerged once we understood the spatial encoding, using standard coordinate transformations. The timeline markers became meaningful once we realized the signal was calibrated to hydrogen emission periods, allowing conversion into human time units. The resulting dates aligned perfectly with known evolutionary milestones on Earth. That match validated the interpretation. Humanity's response, our options. We are now faced with several strategic paths. Option 1, active reply. Send a transmission acknowledging receipt and sharing selected information about ourselves. Pros, opens communication. Risks, reveals more than necessary. Option 2, passive observation. Observe the rendezvous point without transmitting. Pros, safe and cautious. Risks, may appear fearful or uncooperative. Option 3, physical presence. Send spacecraft to the rendezvous point. Pros, demonstrates capability and willingness. Risks, technically demanding and potentially dangerous. Option 4, coordinated preparation. Spend these 18 months building scientific, diplomatic, and public understanding before acting. Pros, balanced and responsible. Risks, time is limited. Recommended strategy. The most logical path is a combination of option 2 and option 4. Passive observation plus active global preparation. Continuously monitor the rendezvous location. Coordinate international scientific and diplomatic planning. Prepare society for what contact might mean. Wait for the event. Then respond based on what actually occurs. If what arrives is peaceful, we engage. If it appears threatening, we remain defensive. If it is unclear, we proceed slowly and cautiously. Every major space agency already has this date circled. Research institutions around the world are planning coordinated observations and data analysis. Diplomatic channels are quietly opening conversations behind the scenes. The United States has suggested forming an International Response Council under the United Nations to oversee observation and decision-making. Russia and China have shown cautious agreement. Most European nations support the idea. The main challenge is not technology, it's cooperation. We need genuine collaboration across political divides, national priorities, and global tensions. On the scientific side, the preparation is far more direct. Every telescope capable of reaching those coordinates will be aligned toward that point in space. Radio observatories will monitor for transmissions. Optical telescopes will search for visible bodies or signatures. Infrared, ultraviolet, and other wavelength instruments will provide additional layers of data. This will likely become the most intensively observed region of space in human history. What this means for humanity. Now the question is no longer, are we alone? The message has changed to we are known and contact is planned. This shifts everything. For science, it validates decades of SETI research. It confirms that advanced civilizations exist, are detectable, and can communicate. The core assumptions of the search are now proven true. For philosophy and religion, it challenges the belief that humanity holds a unique position in creation. We are not alone in the universe, and possibly not even rare. We are one example of life, evolving on a suitable world among many others. Every belief system will need to interpret this in its own way, but the psychological shift is inevitable. For politics and society, this is unprecedented. Our governments are designed for Earth-based problems. This is a species-level situation. It demands a species-level response. We have 18 months to improve how we think, coordinate, and act as one planet. For each individual, this realization is both humbling and uplifting. We are smaller than we believed, just one civilization in a vast galaxy. Yet we are also significant enough to be observed, cataloged, and included. We matter, not just to ourselves, but in a cosmic context. Remaining uncertainties. Even with the message decoded, many unknowns remain. We don't know who will be at the rendezvous point, or what form contact will take. We don't know their intentions. We don't know whether interaction will be beneficial, neutral, or dangerous. We also can't be sure we've uncovered the entire message. Deeper layers might still be hidden in the signal. So, continued analysis is essential. What I believe the message truly implies, based on the decoded data and decades of theoretical study, the implication appears to be something like this. We are an autonomous probe sent by an advanced civilization surveying life-bearing worlds in this region. Earth is the 12th planet in our local survey to develop technology. You have reached a stage where continued silent observation is no longer appropriate. In 18 months, at the designated coordinates, contact will be possible if you choose it. The decision is yours. They are not commanding. They are not threatening. They are presenting a choice. This is first contact, but one designed deliberately to respect our agency and identity. The next 17 months. These will be the most consequential months in human history. How we prepare, scientifically, diplomatically, culturally, will shape the nature of contact. This affects every human being, not just scientists and governments. We must act with transparency, cooperation, and clarity of purpose. We have decoded their signal. Now the world must decide how to answer, not just with words, but with our actions. 3i/Atlas has spoken. Contact is scheduled. 18 months. The question now is, are we ready?